My traveling across the world and interacting with the global leader, I had been always very sensitive when I talk about architecture and cities. The cities are really seeing great change these days. The architecture of the city, you all can, many of you, if you have traveled New York, this is the Central Park, New York. You can see how the buildings are so massive. There is a jungle of Central Park and there is a concrete jungle. The cities are moving like this. So how do we stand out in this concrete jungle of building? So this is the building which this is the building is really fascinate me. It's called Pencil Tower in New York, which you can see how tall it is, and it's so massive and so tall. You all can, we talked about architecture, and when we say the cities are made of what? Cities are made of buildings, road, and so on and so forth. But cities are also made for people. City is made by people and city is made for people. So today, the people are in a transition. So it's a moving, whether it's a migration, whether it's a war or whatever, in a good condition, at any given time, there are thousands of aeroplanes in the sky. So people are moving. The cities are changing because of whatever way, whether man-made buildings or man-made disaster. We talked war before. The situations in the existence of an architecture essence of the building is really in a danger now. I travel across the length and breadth of Russia, and I've seen that where is the war? Moscow, there is no war, but still Moscow is like living like that. So, but the people who are experiencing the war, you can understand the situation. The cities are expanding its beyond limit, beyond the airport. Earlier, the airport used to be the extension of the last end of the city. This is a very interesting story behind this slide. When Burj Khalifa was under construction, I had made a travel to Burj Khalifa. Architecture thesis of after 5 years, it was about Bionic Tower. That's a tall building. That time it was like a 1200 meter building was there, 1200 meter building. And at the same time, Burj Khalifa was under construction. By the way, don't be surprised, it's me only. I had a very long hair. And I barely passed my thesis because of the verticality. The tallest building, and Burj Khalifa was also just, whether it was, that time, by the way, it was the name of Burj Khalifa was not there. The building name was something different. So then I passed my thesis, and at the same time, the Three Idiot movie came. So here you can see my principal has written a very, very nice piece of article about, the failure becoming a successful. I hardly, I passed architecture thesis very, very difficult way. So that's what I was saying. The morning speaker was mentioning about, learning from failure. So every failure is at least got one new lesson that how you should not do this way. So that's what I have been traveling across globe. This is with the Nobel Prize laureate. Recently, I was in Russia, and I was part of Urban 20 committee when G20 summit happened in 2021. Why I'm sharing you this? At least, I always come across with the many statement that I don't like politics. Please understand that these global leaders, they also need ideas from us, and I'm from professional like us, like Professor the Brigadier has mentioned such a wonderful ideas, and I'm sure that everybody would love to buy this idea. And I always try to sell my ideas to global leaders about my initiative. This is with my interaction with the President, Madam, when we were in Lisbon, and the President of Portugal. I curated one very beautiful exhibition just 2 months ago. It finished now. It's about talking about connection between Portugal and India. You all know, I would like to tell you one piece of information. You all love aloo. Aloo means potato. All love aloo. Do you know who brought potato in India? Can anyone tell me? Portuguese brought all, now the aloo is like a very Indian food. No, it is brought by Portuguese. Uh, and anyone, if you know that Portuguese first came to Goa. No, Portuguese did not come to Goa first. The Vasco da Gama, I mean to say. Vasco da Gama came to Calicut first. So there are Calicut, and then he went back, and then when he came again, then he came to Goa. So there are a lot of hidden layer of stories beyond our routine knowledge. So that's a kind of a layering of stories I explored in my due course of collaborations with this Portuguese embassy for curating of India Portugal exhibition. These are some part of my architecture practice which I am doing. This is a very interesting project which we did in collaboration with academicians and students. This is the project which we did in Russia, in Yekaterinburg. Here, the revitalization of the park, and it was such a beautiful park, and everybody loved to have an inspiration from all over the world. Like, they wanted to do Central Park of New York or Hyde Park of London, but we said that, look, this is Yekaterinburg. It's a small city in the mid of Russia. So we did a very beautiful design project about the balloon as a very interesting example of epicenter of a city park. So very widely published in Russian media. Okay. So now when I come back about the architecture part, and when we say the change is the only constant, we have discussed this in the previous two lectures. Definitely change is going to come, that's for sure. But you have to always know that which direction you need to go. You will always have whether I should go this way or whether I should go that way. So that will be always dilemma in front of you, for whether it's not all for younger generation, it's also for us also. Even after 25 years of experience, still I always feel that whether I should do it or not do it. And surprisingly, many times I ask my son whether I should do it or not, and he's only 10-year-old. So you will always, the best thing is the result depend whether what path you choose. You will always have a one path or two path, whether you should do this change or you should that change. So this is the image. This is image from my house. This is my elder son, and he is. You all might have think that he is playing game, but actually he's replicating the traffic. You see here what he is replicating, the car line, and here he is replicating the queue of a boys and girl. Blue is a boy and pink is a girl. So why I'm sharing you this slide? This slide is saying that today our younger generation is seeing what's happening in the city. So our responsibility is for younger generation. And so that's when we talk about how do we design in the cities, there is always a dilemma we have, whether we should go back to basics or whether we talk about futuristic city. So here is the path which I was saying that change is the constant. We have to follow the middle path. You cannot always go back to basis or your historical roots, or you cannot go directly to so futuristic without thinking that what was our past. So this is one of the projects which we had, which I'm part of a jury of Barcelona 2015. Barcelona is the historical city. The identity of Barcelona in today's context is also relevant only because they have a very great balance of history and modernity. Any guesses? I'm sure that I will give like a 1 million award if you can identify the name of the city. Any guesses? And trust me, don't think that I'm lying. I will give you $1 million because I know nobody can tell the answer. This city can be anything: Hyderabad, London, New York, this. But actually, this is London. This is London because of this Gherkin Tower. This is a landmark tower. The architecture has a very strong power for giving identity to the city. Dubai, Burj Khalifa. Kuala Lumpur, a Petronas Tower. So this, if I tell you that this is a New York or this is a Hyderabad or this is a Bangalore, everyone can believe, yeah, might be, it might be. But this is London because of this mega tower of, this has become identity. Paris, Eiffel Tower. So why I'm saying you that, why I'm giving you reference of these images about the architecture and the building has a very strong power. Charminar, Hyderabad. So, any guesses which building is this? People may say that it's Albert Dubai because of the 7-star hotel, but it's not Albert Dubai. This is some very poor copy of Albert Dubai in Punjab. So architecture also give a lot of inspiration to everybody. Albert Dubai is like a Dubai is a 7-star hotel, so expensive to live. But even poor people also want to have Albert Dubai in their villages. Why not? So that's what I'm saying. Architecture can influence very, very strongly to the city, to the people, to the politician, to everywhere. So changing trends in architecture of India. Indian architecture practice is going global, and there is always a debate whether Indian architecture should. There are a lot of international architects are coming to India, and it's bringing. Delhi is becoming Shanghai, or New York is Shanghai, or New York, or Bangalore is becoming Silicon Valley of India. But yeah, so there is a change. This is the Chandigarh city which came up in 1950s that time, and Chandigarh has brought a great revolution. This is by international architects, the team of international architects from Switzerland and France, and I'll not go the history of making of Chandigarh, but the emergence of Chandigarh architecture in India has brought a great change in the perspective of Indian architecture post-independence. And now the Chandigarh is one of the very few new cities in the world which has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. When international architects are working all over the world, but at the same time there are a lot of Indian architects also going international. This Bangalore airport is one of the great example of the designing of Indian cities infrastructure in an Indian way by international architects. So that's what I love about this project. Bamboo is a very, very Indian. Bamboo is not American material. It's not very. This is designed by American architect Skidmore, Owing Merrill, and is designed in India. So I always say that the architecture or building, if we are going internationally, or international people are always international experts are designing, it's a good sometime. Recently 2 weeks ago I was in New York at Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty was not designed by American engineer, it was designed by French. So that's what we are becoming a global citizen, and the technology transfer is also happening globally. And this is another interesting building, Lab for Future, Basel in Switzerland. That's designed by Indian architect for Swiss building. So there is a lot of mix of expertise are happening, and that's bringing a great change in our cities. By the way, the same architects who had designed this Lab for Future in Switzerland, he has designed one very beautiful building in Hyderabad also. This is a KMC headquarters, which is such a beautiful building designed by Indian architect, and designing of with the example of a green as a facade of the building. We always have a cry of glass becoming a facade of the building, but this is such a beautiful building designed by architect Rahul Mehrotra. But still we are worried about this kind of a change should not happen. We should be worried about such change, about this is a very the sketch talks about how the smart cities and in the poor cities, the poor slums are having a very strong boundary. We should integrate each other. So I am on a mission. I always try to do a lot of international symposiums about Indian architecture going globe, and also global architecture coming to India. I have been interacting with the many global leaders across the world. This was recently in Saudi Arabia. This was in Singapore. About talking about how Indian architecture and cities goes globe. Now there is a fundamental mistake happening, I believe. We are growing in a very rapid pace of designing tallest building, this and that. But something fundamental need to be clear. If we as an architect and designer and all the experts, if we don't get up, the world is in danger. Even our God is also in danger. I am not so, cynically saying, but still I see that there are still heroes who are doing a great job. But we need to set our fundamental right. There are still heroes who are doing their job with a great effort. There are hope. There is a light at the end of a tunnel. Who is going to bring the change? I believe the change is going to come from this Gen Z generation or millennia generation. Sorry if my terminology is not correct, but definitely the change is coming from this side of the hall. The younger generation, today's younger generations are always seeing, it's like, आजकल के बच्चों को कुछ नहीं आता, फोन में लगे होते हैं, this and that. No, today's younger generation is more talented than what we were of our time. I showed you my image with the long hair. People used to call me hippie है, कुछ नहीं करेगा, अरे तू hippie, and all those things. Remember in 1960s and 70s, those hippies, the moment when it came. Now they are CEOs and the top big companies giant. So the younger generation of today is definitely going to bring the change. This selfie generation, I call them the selfie generation. If they have taught our leaders, they can change the world. Thank you so much. It was so wonderful listening.